She willed a bland reaction, told her heart to slow down, her body to calm, hoped against hope that she could deliver a cool greeting. Georgie lifted her eyes, and even as she managed a small smile, even if she did appear in control, inside, every cell jolted with nerves and unexpected relief. Relief because, despite denial, despite insisting to herself otherwise, still she wanted him so. Georgie. The sound of his voice after all this time, the hint of an accent despite his well-schooled intonation, made her stomach flip and fold as she stood to greet him. And for a moment she was back there, back in Zarak, back in his arms. It has been a long time. He was clearly just leaving. On his arm, a woman as blonde as herself flashed a possessive warning with her eyes, which Georgie heeded. "It has been a while." Her voice was a touch higher than the one she would have chosen had she had any say in it. "How are you?" "Well," Ibrahim said, and he looked it. Despite all she had read about him, despite the excesses of his lifestyle, he was taller than she remembered. Or was he just a touch thinner? His features a little more savage. His raven hair was longer than she remembered, but even at 2 a.m. it fell in perfect shape. His black eyes roamed in assessment, just as they had that day, and then he waited for her gaze to meet his, and somehow he won the unvoiced race because, just as had happened on that first day, she could not stop looking. His mouth had not changed. Had she only one feature to identify him by, if the police somehow formed an identity parade of lips, she could, without hesitation, have walked up and chosen her culprit. For, in contrast to his sculptured features, his mouth was soft, with full lips that a long time ago had spread into a slow, lazy smile, revealing perfectly even teeth. But tonight there would be no smile. It was a mouth that evoked a strange response. As Georgie stood there, forced to maintain this awkward conversation as she met his gaze, it was his mouth that held her mind. As he spoke on, it was his mouth she wanted to watch. And after all this time, in a crowded club with a woman on his arm, it was those lips she wanted to kiss. "How are you?" he asked politely. "How is your new business? Are you getting a lot of clients?" And it told her he remembered. Not just that night, but the details she had so readily shared back then. She recalled all the excitement in her voice as she told him about her Reiki and healing oils venture, and how interested he had been, and she was glad of the darkness because maybe, just maybe, there were tears in her eyes. "It's going very well, thank you," Georgie said. "And have you seen your niece recently?" How wooden and formal he sounded. How she wanted the real Ibrahim to come back, to take her by the hand and drag her out of there, to take her to his car, to his bed, to an alley, to anywhere where it could be just them. Instead, he awaited her answer, and Georgie shook her head. "I haven't been back since—" And she stopped, because she had to, because her world was divided into two, before and after. Since a kiss that had changed her forever, since harsh words had been exchanged. I haven't been back since the wedding," Georgie stammered. "I was there last month. Aziza is doing well." She knew he had been back, despite swearing she wouldn't try to find out. She delved just a little when she spoke with her sister, searched out his name in ways she wasn't proud of. His words were almost lost in the noise of the club, and the only way to continue the conversation would be to move her head just a fraction closer, but that, for her own reasons, Georgie could not do.